Welcome back, guys, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm David, and this is Vintage Cars Channel, where we talk about the cars that actually matter, the ones with soul, with history, and with stories that'll give you goosebumps. Now, before we get into the list, I want to be upfront about something. This isn't just a, hey, these cars look cool video. We're talking real market data, Hagerty, Barrett-Jackson auction results, Mecum sales figures. Because if you're thinking about buying one of these, you deserve to know the numbers, not just the vibes. And number one on this list, I'll be honest, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. And I want you to tell me in the comments if you do, because that's exactly the kind of debate I love. All right, let's get into it, starting at number 5. What if I told you that right now, in 2026, you could own a genuine American classic? A real, honest-to-God piece of Detroit iron history for less than a used Toyota Camry. Not a basket case, not a rust bucket. A real turn heads on the highway, make your neighbors jealous classic car. And here's the twist, the guys who know cars. They've been quietly scooping these up for years while everyone else was fighting over Mustangs and Camaros. Today, I'm handing you that same list. These are the 5 most undervalued American classics you can buy right now, before the rest of the world catches on. And here we are. Number 1, the car I told you people would argue with me about. And honestly, good. Because if you disagree, I want to hear why. The Mercury Cougar XR7. I can already hear some of you going, really? A Mercury? Yes, really. And here's why. The late 1960s Cougar was built on the same platform as the Ford Mustang. It shared engines with the Mustang. It was positioned as the upmarket luxury performance version of the pony car formula. More refinement, more equipment, more presence. The XR7 trim in particular was Mercury's flagship performance variant, available with a 390 cubic inch V8, making 320 horsepower, or the highly underrated 351 Windsor Viv 8, making 290 horsepower and 385 pound-feet of torque. That 351 Windsor XR7. On today's market, it averages around $22,900. Now, a comparable late 60s Mustang with similar specs? You're typically looking at $50,000, $60,000, $75,000, sometimes more. Same era, same basic engineering, same Ford DNA, less than half the price. The reason? Simply the badge on the hood. Mercury doesn't have the pop culture mythology of Mustang. It doesn't have the movies, the t-shirts, the die-cast model in every toy store. But here's what Mercury does have. Better build quality than many Mustangs of the same era, a more luxurious interior, slightly better refinement, and a level of exclusivity that comes from lower production numbers. This is the number 1 pick because of the combination of genuine quality, genuine performance, current affordability, and, most importantly, trajectory. The gap between Mustang prices and Cougar prices is not sustainable. As more collectors discover what the XR7 actually is, that gap is going to close fast. If you're thinking about getting into classic cars, not just as a hobby, but as something that holds its value, the Mercury Cougar XR7 is the one I'd be looking at hardest right now. Okay. Is the Mercury Cougar XR7 a worthy number 1, or did I get this completely wrong? I want your top pick in the comments. What's the most undervalued American classic you've found? Number 2 is the car I think is the single most underappreciated piece of American automotive engineering ever built. And I mean that. I need you to stop and really look at this car for a second. This is the 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado, and it is stunning. That sweeping fastback roofline, those hidden headlights, that long bonnet. This car looks like it fell out of a design studio in 2026, not 1966. But the styling isn't even the most impressive thing about it. Under that gorgeous body was something that had never been done in an American production car before: front-wheel drive. In 1966, when every other American muscle car was pushing power to the rear wheels the old-fashioned way, Oldsmobile's engineers built something genuinely revolutionary. Motor Trend named it Car of the Year. It was, without exaggeration, one of the most technically advanced American cars of its era. And today, average prices sit around $21,000. $21,000 for a Motor Trend Car of the Year winner with design that would turn heads in any decade. Now, I'll be honest with you, front-wheel drive isn't what muscle car purists typically go looking for, and that's exactly why the price is where it is. But if you appreciate genuine automotive history, genuine engineering achievement, and one of the most striking designs of the entire classic car era, seriously, when was the last time you saw one of these in person? Because I guarantee you, if you pulled up to a car show in a clean Toronado, every single person there would stop and stare. Have you ever seen a Toronado in real life? Drop a comment. I genuinely want to know because these cars have basically disappeared. Number 3 is possibly the most unfairly dismissed car on this entire list, and the reason it's dismissed tells you everything about how collector car markets actually work. Say Dodge Charger to any car person, and their eyes light up. 1968, 1969, the Dukes of Hazzard, Bullitt, pure American muscle royalty, but then say 1973 Dodge Charger, and watch the energy in the room shift. And I get it, I do. The 1973 redesign moved away from that sharp, aggressive shape. It was heavier. Emissions regulations had tamed the engines. In comparison to the 68 and 69, it feels like a step back. But here's where it gets interesting. A prime 1968 to 1971 Charger today, you're typically looking at $60,000 to well over $100,000 for a clean example. The 1973 SE model, Hagerty currently values a number 3 condition car at around $35,400. And at a Mecum auction in May 2025, a 400 cubic inch SE model sold for $39,750. That means you're getting 70% of the Charger style. That long hood, that imposing presence, that unmistakable Mopar attitude for roughly 40% of the price. And here's the thing collectors don't talk about enough. The 1973 Charger was actually a better built car, better fit and finish, more comfortable interior, more refined drive. Dodge was trying to move upmarket, and it shows. The stigma around later muscle cars is starting to lift. Younger collectors, people who grew up with these cars in movies and video games, they don't share the bias of the old guard collectors. And as that demographic shift continues, cars like the 73 Charger are going to get a serious second look. Okay, honest question, do you think the 1973 Charger deserves more respect? Tell me below. Number 4 is a car hiding in the shadow of something that costs $200,000, and it shares the exact same engine. Let me paint you a picture. The Ford Boss 429 Mustang, one of the most iconic, most celebrated muscle cars ever built. Ask anyone, it's a legend. And on today's market, a good one will cost you around $200,000. Now, what if I told you there's another Ford from the exact same era, with the exact same 429 Cobra Jet engine, the same brutal performance DNA, and you can buy it for around $37,000? Meet the 1970 Ford Torino Cobra. This car was Ford's sleeper weapon in NASCAR. Carroll Shelby's team raced a version of this platform. It dominated superspeedways. And yet, because it's not a Mustang, it's been flying completely under the radar for decades. The 429 Cobra Jet under the hood was officially rated at 370 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. I say officially because Ford was famously conservative with their power ratings back then. Most experts believe it was making well over 400 horsepower straight from the factory. That's a car that will embarrass things that cost 5 times as much. And at $37,000, it's genuinely one of the best-kept secrets in American muscle. The only reason it's not more famous, it doesn't have a pony car badge on the hood. And in collector car terms, that's your opportunity. Would you rather have a Torino Cobra or a Mustang Boss 429? One costs $37,000, one costs $200,000. Let me know below. Number 5 is 1971 to 1974 Plymouth Roadrunner, a car that lives entirely in the shadow of its older brother, and that's exactly why you should care about it. If you know classic Mopars, you know the first-generation Plymouth Roadrunner, 1968 to 1970. Coke bottle shape, squared-off fenders, that legendary beep-beep horn. A proper muscle car icon. But then came the second generation, 1971 to 1974, and collectors kind of forgot about it. Different body style, changing emissions regulations, the muscle car era winding down. And so, while the first-gen Roadrunners have been climbing in value every single year, this second-gen version has just been sitting there, being massively underappreciated. Here's what makes that crazy to me. Right now, a solid first-gen Roadrunner will set you back anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 for a decent example. The second gen, you're looking at an average market value around $23,500. Same legendary Mopar DNA, same beep-beep attitude. About 30 cents on the dollar. Now, yes, the later emissions-era engines aren't as wild as the early Hemis. But here's the thing. The 1971 Roadrunner was available with a 440 cubic inch six-pack. That's 385 horsepower in a car you can buy for the price of a used pickup truck. The market will catch up to this one. It's just a matter of when. Drop a comment below. Do you prefer the first-gen or second-gen Roadrunner? Because I have a feeling this comment section is about to get spicy.